Do you ever feel that you're not fully maximizing your potential and your business's potential? You feel like you're putting massive energy, massive effort, probably dollars in, and it's not getting the results you want? Well, the truth is the game has changed. The rule book is different. The principles, however, are still the same. If you understand what's happening in the economic cycles and you make sure that your business is in flow with that and your team and your product are in flow with that, you can be in an absolutely incredible position. You can be in pole position. And in the previous 4 videos that I went through, I took you through some of the key principles, went through the economic cycles, making sure that you understand that there's a big shift that's occurring. Shift that's occurring. There's this big push up. There's going to be a massive rise. There's going to be a massive crash. Think GFC, but on steroids. Okay, so that's fine. Just remember, when things crash, that's time to go shopping. This is a huge opportunity for you to jump in and get things moving. So what I've already gone through are the 6 parts to make this work. What are the 6 principles that you can control to make sure your business are business fit? You're able to paddle fast enough in the right direction to pick up the tsunami of work. Okay, there's 6 things. What we went through, the first one we went through was really the principle of freeing up your time. The second principle was going, well, to do that, you've got to lead your leaders to get into flow. Okay, that's all cool. Then the third thing we went through is thinking much bigger, because when you're thinking much bigger, there's less things for you to focus on. How do you want to go at the beginning of the week or even the end of the week and go, oh man, I've only got 2 or 3 things I need to focus on rather than 20 or 30? This here means it allows your brain to really process and focus on the key things. Next thing here is making sure you've got the right product that works today and also in the future. Now, the next 2 principles here is, I believe, the client. Now, this last point here is looking at the labor shortage. There is not a single industry, single client member that we've ever worked with, especially in the last few years, that doesn't say this thing. And that is, I can't find good talent. Have you ever said, I can't find good talent? There's just no one out there. I'm in a super regional area. There's only 100 people here. I can't find talent. Or you're in the big capital city, goes, oh, they're all the big companies that take you all the talent. I want to say, it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone said the same thing. Now, there's only one of our members that I've gone, okay, they may actually have a talent problem. That is, to get their team, they're in surgery, veterinary surgery, orthopedic surgery. It takes well over up to 20 years to train someone to get into that field. And in our country, and I live in Australia, and so does this company, the number of people that actually graduate per year are less than what they need. So they have to go global to do that. Guess what? We've sold that for them as well. So I know you're going to hear this, but I want to really be clear out this one here. Right now, today, is the best it is ever going to be. You go, what? It's the best it's ever going to be. So what we're going to do is 2 things. I want to give you a principle first and then a bit of the how-to. The principle first, and I love this principle here, is from Jim Collins. He's the author of the book that talks about From Good to Great. But he also wrote another book, which I believe, personally for me, is my favorite book. And it's called B 2.0, and B stands for Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. He wrote the book many years ago and then rewrote again with some new data. Now in there, what he had written, what he discovered studying all these businesses now for many, many, many years, was there was one single number, one optic that, in his words, towers above all else. And just think about it for a moment. What number, what thing in business, if you could only track one thing in business, if there was one number that was more important, if let's say you couldn't run your business, you had a general manager who was, and you go, okay, what's the one thing that I want to make sure you measure? What would that be? So think about it. Now here's what Jim found. He found the single biggest factor that determined the success or failure of a business came down to one key thing, and it was this. So if you've got a pen and paper handy, or pencil, iPad, computer, whatever you're watching this on, please take note of this. What he found was the single most important thing to measure is the percentage of key seats within your organization filled with the right people. The percentage of key seats filled by the right people. And if it's not 90% or above, then you've identified your single most important priority, the single most important thing you need to focus on. Now, I know some people in small businesses, they go, I don't want to recruit anyone. I don't want to bring anyone on. I'm stressed already. I haven't got enough cash flow to fund the people I've already got. And I go, I know, I heard it many, many times before. But here's what we need to do. In a labor shortage, which is what's going to happen, and it's only going to get worse, is how, and even though some people are going to go, well, I'm going to have AI do it all. Even AI is like a tool. It's like fire back in the days. It's a tool. Yes, it's a really good tool, but like any tool, humans need to drive it. Humans need to guide it. So what we want to do here in the labor shortage is make sure that you are putting yourself on pole position. First part, principal part of that is understanding that your key seats being filled by the right people is critical. The second part of that is applying a marketing brain to talent acquisition. And we run a process we call the 6-step talent acquisition plan, where we take people through how to do that. But even that principle for you should be enough to go, right, I need to think of marketing. So I need to have an ad spend. Yes, you do. And I'll say for us, our ad spend on marketing equals our ad spend on talent. That's how important it is. And we have a dedicated person that's all they do is recruiting, and onboarding. That's all they do. That's their full-time job. So this is how important this one here is. How do you make sure that you're putting yourself in pole position? Okay, let's go to the last principle. The last principle, even though it's the last principle, it actually needs to start with the first one. Now, this last principle here is to build your war chest. Yeah, keep your powder dry. If we're going to use that as an expression. I did 18 years in the military, and this sticks very much in my mind. Mate, what's your ammunition? How do you make sure you keep your powder dry so when the opportunities are there, which they're going to come up big time, you are in pole position? Okay, so we need to be able to have enough cash to withstand the downturn, and then also go shopping. You know, like where you get those sometimes end of year or Black Friday sales, when they come on, it's like, this is the time to go shopping. Guess what? You're going to have so much cash. This is where you're going to create intergenerational wealth. This is your time to do that. Now, how do you do that? We have a 5-step process that we take people through. But the first thing is know what you want. Know how to accumulate assets, and this is from a business context particularly, but it applies equally even if you are a team member within a company. Understand what there are different levels that you go up and you go, okay, I need to nail this one before I do this one, okay. So that's just knowing what you want and why you want it. Now the how-to. Now from a business context, the how-to is really quite simple, and that is this. We need to understand cash allocation. For every $100 that comes in, how does that get allocated as a percentage? A percentage goes to your taxes, a percentage goes to your war chest, a percentage goes to team. And there's a methodology that we run, that we take people through, that goes through it. You can just go, okay, cool, what's my cash allocation right now? So once you've got your cash allocation, some of that cash allocation now goes into asset allocation. Asset allocation is a different thinking. And what we see happen is a lot of people mix up cash allocation, asset allocation, and they go, I wonder why that doesn't work. Business is one of the greatest opportunities, or one of the greatest vehicles, should I say, greatest vehicles to create assets. The way business makes cash can very well make a huge amount of difference in the way you create assets. So when we're able to build this asset allocation, and we're building a massive war chest, what that does is it means that you have a huge amount of certainty and confidence. You can make decisions that other people can't. Now, I want to give you an example. During the pandemic, 100% of all our members got through the pandemic. In fact, for that year, the increase in profit was triple figures. Triple figures, and we work with retail. That they're able to do that is because we drum in right from the very beginning. Have they got their cash allocation? For example, the 13-week rolling cash flow forecast, which we set up and we give them a template to work off. Critical tool, the first tool that every business owner needs to have. Then how are they doing the asset allocation? And people go, I haven't got enough cash right now. I don't have enough money. Okay, great. That's why we talk about percentages in asset allocation and cash allocation. Because when you understand that, it doesn't matter exactly the amount. What matters is the habit, the muscle that you are building to put the money in the right place at the right time. Okay, so that's going through and looking at the building your war chest. These are the 6 things, these are the 6 areas that, regardless of what you're thinking about your business, need to be the overarching umbrella that you're putting in, you're injecting into your business to make sure that you stay business fit. Okay, so look at the things we've gone through in the whole video series. We talked about economic cycles, zigging when they zag, riding the wave. Then we talked about being business fit. We went through the 6 different categories, 6 different areas to focus on. We looked at knowing what you want, being clear on what that is. But when you know what that is, okay, great. Then you just need to set up the structures to win. And what we've gone through is the 6 different items. Now, what I wanted to do is to give you a little bit of a gift. There is a focus. So it's like, what are you going to do with this? Okay, great. We're big on implementation. So how do you implement this? If you have come on, you watch the videos and you got to the, hey, got to the end, good job. Well done, because most people, even when you look at a book, the statistic is horrifying. That is, for most people that read the very first chapter of a book, the vast bulk, 90% don't read past that. You've got to the end, you got to the last video, well done. So in this video, there'll be an attachment. They'll have a little sheet like this. Now, those 6 areas that I went through, what I love to recommend, if you're here and you just want information and you go, okay, great, I got some information, this is really cool, and you feel like you want to do it by yourself, you want to DIY, this is how you DIY. Just rate yourself now where you sit in these 6 categories. On the left-hand side is a score of 1, that is not scoring very well. And yeah, sad face, for those that are kind of more creatives, sad face. To the other extreme, 10 out of 10, you're nailing it, you're super happy, you're just absolutely cranking out, really happy face. Score yourself from 1 to 10 across there, and then score yourself 60. Now, once you do that today, that's knowing, as Stephen Covey said, or I showed that little quote, you know where you are now. What I'm going to encourage you to do is to set a target and goal by a period of time in the future. Could be 1 month, 3 months, whatever you feel is the right time frame for you, is set a target of which one you want to move and by how much. So that's group number 1, information. I'm good with this, I'm going to work on mine. But if you're kind of going, I'd like to do something different, then you can use your phone, grab the QR code, or down the bottom, this is the URL, is you can just jump on here and have it connect with us. Like I said, you can do it by trial and error. You can work it out on your own, or if you'd like to, book what we call a growth driver call. In the growth driver call, the purpose of the growth driver call is 3 things. We will sit down and make sure that you have a personalized action plan. To do that, we're going to need to know point 1. And point 1 is being really clear on your vision and your goals. Where are you going? Money, time, and impact. Really clear. Once you've got clarity around that, by the way, most people don't, they have a rough idea. We're going to make sure you're super clear on that. The second thing is, what's holding you back? Like if you put in, here's a principle. If you put in a heap of energy and effort over whatever the period of time is, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, last 12 months, and you haven't got the result, then you haven't been focusing on the right things. I'll say that again. If you put in a huge amount of energy and effort and you haven't got the result, then you're focusing on the wrong things. You're focusing on the wrong bottlenecks. Most people have a myopic view, which is the view they come from. The reason people work with us is we look at it holistically. We can check in on your game, just like any team. If you think any elite athlete, we've got Olympics, we've got top of any football, soccer team, any netball teams, whatever it is, they all have someone in their corner watching their game, because when you're in the picture or on the field, you can't see yourself on there. This here is looking at your bottlenecks. Okay, we'll look at that and go, cool, here are the bottlenecks. And the third part of this is really simple, and that is, what are your next steps? I'm going to give you 3 next steps. This is what you need to do. There is no strings attached. This is a way for us to add value to you. And the reason we're going to do that is because you're going to go, this is great, I can do this. We're going to feel good. That was added value to you, and you're going to refer someone. You're going to go, hey, you should check these guys out. They're doing really good stuff. They can help out. Or you'll also look at it and go, hey, I like what I heard. I've really got a good game plan. But rather than me working out on my own, what I love to do is actually go, cool, can you just hold my hand? Can you help me see around the corner? Can I get a personalized plan so I know the cycles, but I know where my cycle is, and I want a game plan on how to do that? Well, great. That's what you want to do. We can happily have a chat with you. Other than that, look forward to hearing, seeing, and getting some insights from you around how you put these principles into place into your business.